Hello and welcome back to Nathan Bell's podcast. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you can. Today, Nathan's going to talk to us about hip hop.
Yeah, well, I've always loved hip hop. I've released a lot of hip hop in my life. I released 2 political hip hop albums in my 20s under the name Hadron C, with a bunch of anti-war music and a bunch of political commentary music on them. I liked rapping when I was a teenager and when I was in my 20s because I didn't really know how to sing. I've started singing now, and now I like singing, but back then I didn't know how to sing, and I found rap more accessible. And that's the good thing about hip-hop music and rap, it's so accessible. I mean, you've got to be good at English, you've got to be able to use words, you've got to know how to put sentences together, but you don't need to be able to sing. You can just perform, it's almost like talking, so you're able to present a narrative and present a story, and that's why it's so accessible to people. Almost anyone can rap if they make the effort. You've got to have some skill with English if you want to be a good rapper and you want to put good rhymes together, but and it's so catchy and you bop your head along and it's got such good movement and sound to it. But really for me, hip-hop is the music of the underprivileged. It's always been the music of the underprivileged, and I prefer political hip-hop. I've always been into hip-hop that tells a political story and presents a narrative about politics. That's what I think is good. But hip-hop started on the street, and it started with people throwing beats together using samples from other music because they didn't have the ability or the tools to produce their own instrumentals, and they were stealing electricity from the streets and throwing street parties, and then the MCs would come in and start busting little rhymes over the top of that. So it's all very urban, and it's all very about empowering people and giving people a voice, and that's why I love hip-hop. It gives people who don't have a voice, which is what I want to see more of in the world. I want to see the voiceless have more of a voice. So, hip-hop, as I said, is so accessible because it's reasonably easy to perform hip-hop music. So anyone can come in and can express their worldview and can express their ideas and the stories that they want to tell. And that's why I liked rapping in my 20s, and I wrote some great rhymes and some great songs about anti-war and about politics and oppression and stuff. And, as I said, I didn't know how to sing, so it was good for me to be able to rap because then I could present my story. And it's all about expressing your story and expressing your views, and that's what hip-hop's about. It's about giving people a voice. Sometimes I think as I've gotten older that some hip-hop is a bit inappropriate. As I've gotten older, I've realised it's not that good to glorify gang violence. We don't really want to promote gang violence. I think it's all contextual, and if you're talking about growing up around gang violence and seeing gang violence and extreme violence, that's okay. That's just expressing your life experience. But now that I'm older, I don't think it's such a good idea to glorify gang violence and to say that that's a good thing. So I've moved a bit away from gangster rap, but I was never really into gangster rap. I was always more into political commentary rap anyway, so I never really thought it was that good to glorify crime and violence. I used to be a big Eminem fan when I was a teenager, but as I've gotten older, I've come to see Eminem as an offensive character. We don't need to be talking about raping our mothers or raping women or killing people. As I've gotten older, I suppose I've matured more, and I personally wouldn't present those narratives in my own songs, and I never really did in my rap songs. My rap songs were always very political. So I think, there is an aspect of rap music which promotes bad mentalities, but that's okay, and it's personal preference what music people listen to, and I do believe in freedom of expression, but as I've gotten older, I've moved away from promoting bad, harmful, negative narratives, and I think it's best that we promote positive narratives in the world. But I really like rap music that talks about politics, as I said, and talks about social justice issues and deals with oppression and fighting oppression and bringing change into the world. And there's a lot, some of the best change songs, some of the best activist songs I've ever heard in my life have come from hip-hop artists. I like Tupac. He was involved, his parents were involved in the Black Panther movement, very radical people involved in a very radical change movement fighting for justice for African Americans. So I like that narrative when that's presented, because that's a narrative about fighting for justice in a situation where people are being oppressed, and I think that's fantastic. You know, we all have the right to stand up for ourselves. So rap and hip hop gives underprivileged people a voice to stand up for themselves and speak and be heard. And that's why rap is the voice of the voiceless and why it is a powerful form of music. I'm not really into the commercial rap music, the poppy stuff. That sort of bores me. I'm really into the gritty, raw stuff that talks about real issues. And that's what I've always been into, is the gritty, raw stuff that talks about real issues. But I think, you know, rap has become a phenomenon in the last 20 years. It's taken over the world and become one of the most prominent forms of music. And people still criticise it and say that it is without talent, but that isn't true. You know, rappers and lyricists are poets, and they tell stories and complex and weave complex narratives with their rhymes, and you have to have some skill in English to write good rap songs. So, you know, the poets of the street, rappers are telling a story of the street and of the underprivileged, and empowering people with a voice to communicate their life experience and their views about politics and the world. So as I said, some of the best social change music I've ever heard has been rap music, and that's the rap music I prefer. I'm not really into the poppy stuff, and I've moved away from the gangster rap stuff as I've gotten older, and I'm not really, like I said, I'm not really into Eminem anymore. I think some of his lyrics are actually quite heinous and vulgar and offensive. So I've really moved away from Eminem. I moved away from Eminem many, many years ago when I realised, you know, some of this stuff is really grotesque that he says about raping and killing people. So, yeah, I think rap is the voice of the voiceless, basically, and hip-hop is the voice of the voiceless, giving voice to people who otherwise wouldn't be able to express their worldview, and I think that's a great thing. So it's an empowering medium which empowers people, and everyone wants to be a rapper now, don't they? Everyone wants to be a hip-hop artist, and everyone's bringing out hip-hop music, and it's everywhere, and it's because it's so accessible and so easy to do. So I think it's fantastic, you know, let more people express their views and their worldview and sing the songs that they want to sing. So drop a comment in the comment section about what you think about rap and hip-hop music.